Hello and welcome to my first tutorial of My Memory Suite digital scrapbooking software by Polaroid. My name is Lesley, also known as Toque of the pinktoque craft blog, and I'm here today to introduce you to this fabulous software and to walk you through the basic features of My Memory Suite. Hopefully this video will give you a taste of what the software is capable of and how easy it is to use. I should mention that I'm in no way affiliated with Polaroid. I'm just a fan that loves the software and wants to share it with others. To read more details about My Memory Suite and see the full review that I wrote, please check out my blog, craftblog.pinktoque.com. Alright, let's get started. When you first open up the software, this box will appear, and you have two options. You can either create an album from a designer template, which is one of the great things about My Memory Suite. It comes with lots of preloaded content, not just backgrounds, embellishments, word art, alphabets, etc. It also comes with layouts already made for you. You could also design your own. You can build your album layer by layer and start out with a blank canvas. But just so I can show you what's here already for you that comes with the software, I'm going to create an album from a designer template. Now if you've made other albums before, you'll find those listed down here, and as you can see I've got a lot on the go. But today let's design an album from a designer template. Okay, so your designer template box pops up, and as you can see there are a lot of different preloaded content that you can choose from as far as your layouts go. These are complete books in some cases, with each individual page already made for you, where you would just drag and drop photos into them. Some things to note before you choose is this column here shows you the shape. You have three choices for your shape. You could either have a square shaped album, a landscape, or a portrait. Now the difference is it really depends on how you plan to share your album at the end. Most of your typical digital scrapbooks, or most of your regular scrapbooks, come in a 12 by 12 or an 8 by 8 format, in which case you would want to make sure you chose square. If your album shape is different, landscape or portrait, then choose accordingly. If you plan to export this album at the end in a different format, and it doesn't matter how it's printed, it's completely up to you. I like to have the pages printed for a 12 by 12 book, so I always choose square. For today I'm just going to choose breezy, and if you click on custom page arrangement down here, you're able to do a little bit of editing before you start. You can see a thumbnail here of the different pages that come preloaded with this. As you can see, this particular album comes with 6 pages already made for me. This one comes with 28, etc. So if I look at each of these pages, I can pick and choose if I only want 1 or 2 of them to be added. I can do that. If I want to change the order of them, I can do that too. It's completely up to me. Let's continue on. I've chosen just these 3 for now. I could have all 6, but for now I'm just going to choose these 3. Do note that you can add more pages. You can duplicate pages and you can delete them later on once you're in the software. So this part is just sort of, if you know exactly what you want to do to get started, you can. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. And now I have 2 options. I can either pick and click, which means I will manually select my photos to put into all the spaces, or I can use fast fill. By using fast fill, I tell My Memory Suite which directory on my computer the photos are in, and it will automatically fill in photos into the shapes. I always choose pick and click. This is really great if you're in a hurry, but pick and click allows me to choose which photos go where exactly, and I can crop photos and edit as I go. So let's choose pick and click and continue. You now need to give your album a name. I'm going to call this one Tutorial, and here it's going to show you where Tutorial will be saved. The default is in your My Documents folder, in a folder called My Memory Suite Albums. So I'm going to create my album, and it's now going to render all the pages that I chose for my pre-built album down here. And voila, here's our album. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, you're able to choose the order of your pages, and you can predetermine that before you actually have your book rendered, or you can do it now, and you can do it anytime by grabbing the icon down below and just moving the pages into the order you want them to be in. So now I've changed the order around a little bit to suit my needs. Okay, now let's look at the options that you have. All of your options are up here, but the user-friendly pane on the right side, this control panel, is really, really helpful, and so that's what we're going to be looking at today. The background pane is the first one I want to show you, and when you click background, all of your options pop up. You can either set a solid color as your background. You can choose a type of paper. This is usually a pattern of some kind, and it comes in a wide variety of colors. These are all preloaded content that come with My Memory Suite. Designer templates are the special ones that come with the pre-built outlines and templates that you chose from. This is also where I will put any freebies that I download from others, which I'll get to in another tutorial. Texture is just what it sounds like. When I pull this up, you can see that I can choose from burlap, corrugated, recycled, or stone textures. And when I choose, for example, stone texture, they're all different colors that I can choose from. So if I want to have a stone texture background, I can choose that here. Paper is another set of pre-loaded content. These different options here, it's basically, if you choose, for example, dots. The large dots, they come in all the different colors. So if you wanted a background like this, you can choose from here. But if you wanted mixed dots, you could do that. It would look like this. And these are all, like I said, preloaded content that comes with My Memory Suite already. So I'm just going to choose, how about some lime green? Choose that. And you can see that it's going to affect our background. Our background has now changed. If I decide I don't like that, I've got my handy dandy undo background setting up here. If I want to remove the background completely, I can click the remove button here. If I want, I can apply the background to all pages by clicking this button here. I can change the opacity of the background at any time by messing with this slider, or I can manually type in. The store button will take you to Polaroid's website, where they have available for purchase on their site other kits that you can add to My Memory Suite. But the great thing about My Memory Suite is that you've got the custom button, which means you don't have to purchase anything if you don't want to. My Memory Suite pulls all of its files from JPEGs and PNG files and GIF files and any common image files. So if you wanted to add your own custom images, your own custom backgrounds, say you create your own digital scrapbooking elements yourself, you can load those by using the custom button. So if I wanted to, I could choose a photo for a background. I could choose, but as you can see, because I can navigate anywhere on my computer, I'm able to choose any files from anywhere to use as my background, or anything, even embellishments. So if I wanted to choose a photo for my background, it could do that as well. You are not limited by My Memory Suite software. That is something that I love the most about it. I've tried a lot of other software, and the file extensions are unique to the software only, which means I'm unable to use anything but what the software comes with, or I'm forced to purchase additional content from that company. My Memory Suite is not that way. Because of this custom button and because it uses common image files, you can add as many things to the directory as you want to use. So I'm not going to use a photo here as my background. Let's go to this page, and I'm going to choose paper. I'll choose that green paper, why not? So that's the background tab. Okay, let's take a look at our next tab, which is photos. When you click the photo tab, you've got a couple of options, just two. You have an add photo button here, and you have an add photo box here. Now the difference between the two is, if you click on add photo, you're going to be able to select a photo off your computer somewhere, and it will just add the photo as is right on your page. So for example, I click, I choose a photo, say OK, and it just adds the photo just like that right to my page. As you can see, it's not part of this little box here. It's just a photo in its original form, not cropped at all, right there on my page. I can choose to crop. Now that you notice that I've got my picture selected, all these other options light up for me to use. I can crop the photo, I can nudge it, I can use the remove red eye tool if I have a red eye situation going on in my photo. I can zoom in on the photo, I can zoom out, I can rotate it if I'd like. I can rotate with a slider if I know an exact degree that I'd like to change it to. I can type that in manually too if I'd like. I can change the opacity of a photo. For example, I can make it a little bit more see-through if I'd like. I can do photo effects to the photos. I can click on the photo effect button and I can make this a black and white or a sepia toned. I can brighten photos, darken them, mirror them, flip them, whatever you can think of, I can do it. The photo shape here, I can choose what kind of shape I'd like my photo to be in. I'll choose circle or an oval, but I'll show you a better way to do this. As you can see, I didn't have any control over cropping that photo when it changed to a circle. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to show you the difference between just adding a photo and using the photo box. If you add photo box, you get another one of these boxes here. And if you go ahead and you choose the shape now, before you add the photo, and if you want, you can resize it, move it around, do whatever you'd like, make it the right size. And when you double click to add the photo, let's choose the same one, now I have control over cropping. The photo editor box pops up, and I'm able to choose all kinds of other options. I can rotate the photo within here, I can zoom in, I can zoom out, and I can choose where the photo is cropped. So if I say OK, now the photo is cropped exactly how I want it to be cropped. So that's the difference between using add photo and add photo box. So this is a photo box. It's already sized the way I want it to. So if I double click and I choose this picture of my dog, Oliver, and say OK, I'm going to choose how I want to crop it and say OK, and now his photo is up on the screen. Now that it's selected again, let's talk about some of the options you have over here. I can give this photo a matte. If I click here, I can choose if I want a thick matte or a skinny matte. Okay, pick a matte here. You can choose a color by clicking the color box here. The color chooser comes up. If you know the exact RGB values and you want to type those in, you can. The picker is my favorite thing though, because you're able to move your cursor around the page and choose a color directly off of your layout. So if I wanted the matte to be, let's say this red-orange color, or no, how about blue? I can do that, and I click the blue and it pops up down here to show me what it's going to look like. If I want, I can add this color to my favorites if I know that I'm going to use it a lot, and here's where your favorites are stored. So I choose the color that I want and I say OK. This is going to show me what it will look like when I say alright and apply those changes, and now I've got a blue matte around my photo. I can add a drop shadow to my photo by clicking the drop shadow button. Now I usually just use the default, but you can mess with the settings over here. You can make it a lighter shadow or a darker shadow. You can give it more of a blur or less of a blur. It's completely up to you. You can even change the color of the shadow if you want by clicking the color here. It'll bring up the color picker again. You can type in RGB, you can use the picker, you can go to your favorites and grab the color again from your favorites. I'm going to use the picker, and I'm going to choose this yellow color and say OK. That's just a preview of what it'll look like. It's a little hard to see, but I could choose if I wanted now. I can say apply this shadow to all photos on the page or all photos in the album, just if I ever needed to do that. So I could say OK. And it's light, but you can see I've got this really light yellow shadow here. So there's all kinds of things that I can do with photos, and these are just the basics here. Let's move on to the next pane. Okay, and the next pane is text. So if you click on text, text is important on all scrapping pages because you need to be able to tell the date or what's going on in the picture or a story or something. So you can add text by clicking the Add Text button. Let's look at this page here, which has a little bit of journaling going on already. This is a journaling space. You can see all the text here. If you double click on it, you're able to edit the text, and the edit text box comes up. This is the same box that pops up if you say add text. You can come in here and you can change it. You can change the font, the size, the formatting, whether it's left, center, or right aligned. You can choose a color for the text. If you click more colors, the color chooser pops up for you. So you can edit text this way, and it'll add that here. And then you can, while this is selected, you're able to come over here, and again, you can easily change whether it's bold, underlined, italicized. You can change the alignment, the colors, the opacity. You can rotate your text if you want. So let's go back to our page here, and let's add some text, and we'll add in the date. So I may want to center this text. And let's change the font. If you've been around my site, you know that I really like the Seago print and script. So let's just choose one of those. Let's make this size a little bit smaller. And I'll choose, let's use the picker and choose one of these brown colors. And say OK, and it will add the text onto your page for you. You can mess around with the size, the arrangement, and you can move it. If I wanted to make that white, I could do that here. If you want, you can add a drop shadow to your text. I usually use the default, but you can change those over here. And you can add your drop shadow, which looks really nice. You may want to rotate it. Let's say we want to rotate it 90 degrees, and I want to put it over here. I can do that. Let's put it down here. Okay, and that's text. The next pane is for our embellishments. This is the really fun part. Embellishments include any of those extras: ribbons, buttons, staples, tags, anything you can think of to dress up your page and give it some flair. So if you click on Add Embellishment, your embellishment loader will come up. Now your designer embellishments, again, are something that I'll get to in another tutorial. You've got brads and buttons and corners and flourishes and flowers and all kinds of fun things that you can do. Some of these things I've added myself. For example, Tags by Lesley obviously is something that I've added to the program myself. And like I said, I'll get into that in another tutorial, how you can do that too. But a lot of this is preloaded content as well. So if I wanted to add, for example, some rickrack, I could do that. I could choose curve rickrack, and I can go through and choose a color that seems suitable. So if I wanted to choose, for example, this one, I could say Apply and Close. And here I've got some rickrack that I could move around on my page, put it wherever I'd like. When my embellishment is selected, the embellishment pane is over here and it's all lit up. I can add a drop shadow just like I can with anything else. Use defaults, change them yourself. Add a drop shadow, mirror, flip, rotate things. If I want it to be up and down, I can do that. Now note that all of your items, no matter what you add, whether it's text, whether it's a picture, whether it's an embellishment, they're all on their own layer, much like in Photoshop or Paint Shop. They're on their own layer. The more recent things that you add are going to be on top. So keep that in mind if you're building a page up from scratch, that you want to start out with your background first and then add elements on top in the order of what you would like them to be, as far as, you know, if you want your rickrack to be on top of your photo corner, great. If you don't, you may want to think about that when you're putting it together. The great thing though is that you can change that. If I click on this photo corner and I want it to be on top of my rickrack instead of the rickrack over the photo corner, click on it, right click, and then you have some options to change the layer order. If I want to, I can send it backwards, I can bring it to the front, I can align it with other objects on the page. I can lock the object so I don't accidentally move it later, but I'm going to choose Bring to Front, and as you can see, it'll bring it to front, it'll bring it up over top of the rickrack that I just added. So just keep that in mind as far as layers go. When I've got an embellishment here, let's add another one. We got this one here. Let's add a new one. Let's add a button. So we've got all these different options that come preloaded. So you can choose, for example, a square button. And let's say I want to choose this brown button here. And I say OK, apply. And it's going to add it to my page. I can resize it. I can move it around. I can put it wherever I want on the page. I can give it my drop shadow. If I want, I can rotate it a little bit to get it just where I want it. The possibilities here are endless, and like I said earlier, and I've said before, because I can add my own content to the program directories, such as other JPEG files or PNG files, things that others have created or things that I've created, or clip art, I can add an unlimited number of things to this program and I can use within my software and make my pages really my own. And that's one of the beauty things about it. So here we've got my button. I can change the opacity again. I could do whatever I want to do with it. If I want to get rid of it, I can, clicking these buttons here. And that's the embellishment pane. The next feature is our shapes feature. So if you click on shapes, just keep in mind that shapes are just that. They're solid shapes. They're a solid color. They don't have any kind of a texture or a paper design to them. They're just a solid shape. So if I click Add Shape, I have all these options here. Let's say I wanted to add a think bubble. And I click that, and it adds it to my page. I can make it a black shape or a white shape. I can change the color if I know what the color is off the top of my head, or I can use the picker to change and match the color to something else on my page if I want. Just like with everything else, I can change the opacity here. I can rotate it, I can flip it, I can mirror it, I can give my shapes a matte, I can give my shapes a drop shadow. Again, you can change the color of the shadow, change all the options for your shadow, or you can just use the default. Move it around on your page where you want it to go. You may want to move some other things about here to put it where you want. So let's say I put it up here. And then I could always add some text on top of that and put some sort of a witty thought in Oliver's head. And that's the shape tab. It's really pretty self-explanatory. There's not anything here new that you haven't seen before. Shapes are solid colors. If you're looking to make something like the way this background is done, this section is done, where it's strips of different decorative paper, that's another tutorial that I'll show you. But for now, shapes are just a solid color. Next is the Video and Multimedia tab. Your video and multimedia is really what sets my memory suite apart. Besides the fact that you can add all of your own content, now you can also even embed videos, audio clips, files, website addresses, album pages right into your digital scrapping pages. This makes it truly an interactive album. If you want to add a video clip, you can. If I wanted to have a little video clip down here, I could do that, and I could watch the video within the album. If I wanted to add some audio, maybe a sound effect, think of it like Microsoft PowerPoint, where you have sound effects as things are happening on your page. You can add files, you can add links to other websites where you click and it will take you to a website. The possibilities here are endless. The idea of being able to add videos, and then as well on the Music and Narration tab, you could add MP3 music to play on your pages as you're flipping through. You can add narration, so you could record, someone could be reading the text that's in your thought bubble, or if you're on your journal page and you've got a story to share for your with your page, you could have someone narrating the journal entry here. It's really neat how you can add other multimedia to your digital scrapping pages. And that's the Video and Multimedia and Music and Narration tabs. Our next pane here is the photo layout. And the photo layout is just so you can come over and on the fly change the layout of your photos on your page. So there are lots of different ways you can change the photos, and these just give you, some ideas. You don't have to use any of these. You can do your own layouts with your photos. And instead of using a layout like this, you can go to the photo pane and you can add a photo box and you can make your own layouts. You could add more photos here like this, or you could add more photos down here. You can make your own layouts. That's something that you can do, or if you want to, if you're just looking for something quick and easy, you can come over here and scroll through your options and choose a new layout on the fly. My Memory Suite is something where if you're a beginner, it's great because you've got these beginner layouts here for you, or even if you're an expert or you're advanced, My Memory Suite is still great because you have the capabilities of building things from scratch on your own. So you've got these layouts here to help you. You can create your own. It's completely up to you, and it doesn't matter what your skill level is. It's still easy to use and very powerful no matter what your skill level. The Check Album tab is really important before you decide to share your album. It'll do some spell checking. It'll check for errors. It's important to know that if you or to have your pages sent off to Polaroid to have them printed and bounded into a book, if you're going to do the binding service and have your pages bound, you need to go up to View and click Guides, and it'll show you the trim area. This is your safe zone in here. The shaded areas are showing you where your pages are going to be cropped when they're printed and bound into a hardcover or softcover book. This is showing me now that my little my thought bubble here, my little thinking spot is going to be cut off. So if I don't want that cut off, I need to move this around a little bit until it's within those boundaries so that they don't get lost. This is really important. I throw it up here as I'm going through pages to make sure that none of my text accidentally gets cut off. I wouldn't want to lose some of my dates. You want to make sure your journal pages, your journal text is not going to get cut off, and that important pictures aren't going to be cut off. So keep that in mind. These guides will not show up when you export your book. They're just there as a guide for you only, and you can turn them on and off right up here from this option. So checking your album for spelling errors and mistakes and making sure that all the pages are contained within the boundaries that are safe. Obviously, it's okay if some things are cut off, like this part of the rickrack is going to be cut off, but that's okay. The important things, the photo and the text, are going to stay within the important cut guides. So that's what checking your album is for. And why would you want to check your album? Well, because there are lots of ways you can share your album, and this is one of the huge features of My Memory Suite. You can choose to print your pages yourself. You can choose to have printing services print them professionally for you in various sizes. The export to JPEG is actually what I use the most. I export my pages to JPEG, which it will do is it'll go through, and there's lots of layers on this page. This button is a layer, for example. This rickrack is another layer. What it does is it goes through and it flattens the page. So it turns out looking the same way as it looks here, but it flattens this into a page, and it saves it as an individual JPEG file, an image file. And what you can do with those image files then is once you've exported all of these pages, it'll make a new JPEG image for each page in your album, and it saves it on your hard drive for you. And what you can do then is you can share them in through email, send them to your friends and family through email. You can post them up on the web. What I do is when I finish creating a new page, I export it as a JPEG, and I go and I upload it to our digital scrapbooking site. You can reach that off of my craft blog. And that way I can share my digital scrapbooking pages with friends. I also email them to my family a lot, and it's probably, like I said, the one that I use the most, because having these as images that I can share and post on places like scrapbook.com or on my own digital scrapbooking page is really, that's how I share everything with everyone. So this is actually part of PhotoBook. If you choose a PhotoBook, which is done by Polaroid. If you choose PhotoBook, it'll take you to Polaroid's website, and on their site you will have to export your pages as JPEGs, and you upload them to Polaroid's website. It sounds very complicated, but it's very easy. They take you through step by step. You can't mess up, you can't make a mistake. It's so easy. So you click PhotoBook, it'll have all of your pages uploaded to Polaroid's server, and then you're taken step by step to design your photo book. You choose which pages of your album you want included, you choose what order you want them to go in, you pick a cover, you pick engraving for your cover, and you build a photo book from scratch right on their site. And when you submit your order, Polaroid will take all of your photos that you uploaded, and they'll print the photos, or they'll print the pages professionally in whatever size you chose. So I typically choose a 12 by 12 photo book. So it'll print my digital scrapping pages at a 12 by 12 size, which is 3600 by 3600 pixels. And it will print those professionally, and they will bind them for me into a hardcover or softcover photo book. And then they physically will ship me that book, and I'll have it in my hands to go through, to flip through. I use this all the time for gifts. For example, I made an album for my husband and gave it to him on our wedding day. The quality of the books are amazing. I was very worried at first. I thought, oh, I don't know, what if the book doesn't look so great in person? Trust me, the quality is great, and I will definitely be using it again. I'm planning to make some books for family members for Christmas this year. So the photo book option is really great, and I've used it personally, so I can tell you that it's great. The greeting card option is something where if you want your pages turned into greeting cards, you can click here and you can print them yourself, or you can have Polaroid print them on greeting card stock paper. The interactive album, for example, if we had put a video clip here or a link to a website or some narration or music, by making an interactive album, it'll save it onto a disc, and then what you could do is you could give the disc to your family and friends, and they'll pop it in their computer, and they can watch it on their screen, their computer screen, and then they can interact with your pages by clicking on the video to make them play, or clicking on links to open up websites. So this makes your album truly interactive, and that's the interactive format. You can make a movie out of your out of your digital scrapbook. You can make a movie. You can make that movie an iPod ready movie, which means you can watch them on your iPod, or you can burn your scrapbook to a DVD video format. Also wonderful if you've got video clips and other things going on where you can watch it on your television. You burn it to a DVD, send DVDs to your family members. They can watch all the fun action and videos on their television. So that's a really, really, really great thing. My Memory Suite is very easy to use, but it's also very powerful, and it's capable of much more than your typical scrapbooking software. I don't know of any other scrapbooking software that can do quite what My Memory Suite can do as far as the exporting. You're not limited to just a flat image. You can do so many different things with the software. And I hope that you've gotten a little bit out of this tutorial, and you've seen all the different features that are available to you through the walkthrough. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Like I said, I'm not from Polaroid. I really am just a fan, and I've been using the software now for about a year, and I'm pretty confident with it, and there's some tips and tricks that I've learned. I plan to do tutorials on those tips and tricks later on down the line, so be sure to keep checking back for those. And that's it. Once again, my name is Lesley of the Pinktoque Craft Blog, craftblog.pinktoque.com. Thanks for watching.